Okay, this is Don again. We're going to get started. Welcome to our webinar. So today we're talking about mistakes to avoid on your Google Shopping campaigns during the holiday season and some excellent tips from our friends at Google. I know we have some repeat visitors and first-timers on the call, so just for the first-timers, tell you a little about NetElixir. We are a search marketing agency. Our goal is to help digital marketers like yourself succeed online. We've been around for about 10 years. We've got offices around the globe, and we're growing, and we're up to a little more than 85 people. And one thing that sets us apart is that we are fanatically analytical. Any one of you who are our clients probably already know that as well. And we have millions of hours of hands-on retail search marketing experience because we have always focused on the online retail space. Here's just a brief view of our client list as well. So we've got some well-known names and some, niche specialty retailers in there as well. And NetElixir University, of which this webinar is a part of, is a program started, I think it was back in 2009, with a goal of training 10,000 businesses by the end of this year. And it's really, the goal is really to democratize digital marketing by training people like yourselves. That was actually the inspiration for the company back in 2005. And I'll let you know that if you attended Analytics Week last month, we're with this month's webinar, we're well over 9,000 businesses trained, and we still got 5 months to go. We're very excited about our upcoming event. It'll be the 3rd annual X Equals Experience event. It's an event that we hold where we bring academics who focus on retail-oriented topics and industry leaders into a very unique, and you can tell by those pictures, environment here in Jersey for a couple of days of networking and knowledge sharing. For all of our attendees today, we are offering a free competitor search marketing analysis. And what this involves is there are 4 components, and we take a look at your, as you can see in this visual, PPC, SEO, and PLA programs. We look at your channel mix, your website engagement. We'll give you a scorecard on each of those components and optimization recommendations. And we cover this in a short half-hour phone call with you. So if you're interested, you can visit that page, which is netelixir.com/free competitor analysis, or you can email Kelly at kelly@netelixir.com. This is who I am. I won't bother you with the details. A lot of you have heard that already. We're doing something a little bit different on this webinar, even for those who are some of our favorite fans out there. On your control panel, you should see a handout tab, and you can download a PDF. And the reason we're doing a PDF is we've got several poll questions which involve a visual image. And our platform GoToMeeting doesn't allow us to give you a poll question with a visual at the same time. So the PDF is there for you to have that visual from when we get to those poll questions that have the visual. So feel free to download that. Some of you may have saw our pre-webinar PLA quiz that we sent to you via email. I originally had planned to go over the answers to that. The answers will be in the PowerPoint deck when you get to download it from our website, but because we are jam-packed with content today, I'm going to skip that part, and those of you who are interested can just go look at that when you download the slides. Our first poll is what I call a Micromoments poll. And let me just get that up there for you. Okay. So, question is, have you ever pulled out your smartphone to do one of these tasks? Choose all that apply. And the options are, did you look up an answer to a question during a conversation? Did you look up a place to go near you, like I did last week in Chelsea when I said, okay, Google, find a good Mexican restaurant near me? Did you look up something, a how-to to do something, such as I had to do when I was changing my air filter in my car 2 weeks ago, or research a product while you're inside a store, or whip out your phone to buy something that you just saw on TV. So we're up to about 2/3 of you voting, so we'll give you a few more seconds. Wow. All right. I think we're done. Check that out. All right. Really? There are 4 people in the audience who haven't looked up a question during the conversation. You are so polite. All right, so we've got 91% of you did like I did, looked up, did a near me. 78% have looked up how to do something on their phone. And 7 out of 10 have bought something and researched a product. Very interesting. You're definitely early adopters. So I close, hide. All right, so why did I ask you this question? Well, I'm borrowing a theme from our friends at Google. Their latest mobile theme is this idea of micro-moments, right? Those moments when you want to know something, you want to go somewhere, you want to buy something, or you want to do something, or you need to figure out what to do or what to choose, right? So here's a visual I borrowed from them. Typical day in someone's life, right? At 7:15, they're looking for a place to have brunch. 40 minutes later, they realize they have to fix their faucet, right? 10 o'clock, they go out for a jog and realize they need new shoes. At 1:23, they're getting ready to do makeup. And at 5:38, when they get home, they're thinking about refinancing, so they're looking at mortgage rates. Those are all opportunities for a brand in the business to get in front of that person when they're on their iPhone, right? So, or their Android device, right? So, I just want you to understand that and embrace this idea of micro-moments as an opportunity for your business, right, to get in front of your prospects, right? We are forecasting this year that more than half of paid search traffic will come from PLAs for those of you in sectors that are popular gift categories, things like jewelry or electronics or beauty supplies, clothing, more than half, right? So that's why micro-moments are important. So let's get into our shopping campaigns, mistakes to avoid. And we have another poll. I told you we're going to be interactive today, so yep. Okay. So if you pull up your PDF, you'll see the picture of the phone with the PLA. What percentage of smartphone screen real estate do the Google Shopping ads take up above the fold? So this is when I say above the fold, you type in your query and you're just looking at the result before you start scrolling. So go ahead and vote. Interesting. All right, probably 5 more seconds. 3. All right, we're steady state. I'll close it. Very interesting. So the majority of you think it's 10 to 20, and then we have a tie between 21 and 45 and greater than 45. So let's see what it is. All right, close it, right? Sorry. Hide it. All right. So first mistake is not having your PLA ads running on mobile devices in the holidays. And here's why. Depending upon your device, PLAs can be the third option, 25 to 45% of the above-the-fold real estate. So this is a bit of an informal poll. The 25% is the device that you see on my slide, 25.4 actually. My wife's Samsung S4 was a third. My daughter's iPhone 5S, 45%, more than 45% of the screen. And this was really interesting. On the iPhone 5S, you can't see organic listings for my query on running shoes. All right? So if you're in the running shoe business and you're not spending money on mobile, you're not seen on that first page. Or first screen, I guess is better saying for mobile. And again, as I said earlier, we expect PLAs to be more than half of paid search traffic this holiday season for gift-oriented retail sectors. So not having them is doing yourself a disservice. This is a key idea I borrowed from our friends at Google from a training I was fortunate to go to a week or so ago. So if you're been in the retail business for any amount of time, you know that for brick and mortar stores, it's the old mantra was foot traffic, foot traffic, foot traffic. You know, the old mantra about real estate, location, 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 right? Well, today it's about finger traffic. Let me show you what I mean. This is data that Google has collected with some of their large retail partners. This 55% drop is the amount of foot traffic that those partners have seen from 2010 to 2013. So they had more than half of their audience evaporate out of their stores over those 4 years. So if you're operating a typical 4,000-foot retail store, and in 2010 you had 100 people browsing your store, now you got 45, right? So you're like shaking in your boots going, how am I going to pay my lease? Because more than half of my people are gone. But here's the more interesting part about it, right? They found that the average value of those store visits more than doubled, right? So traffic was down, but value per visit was up. So what does that tell you? It tells you that people are walking into stores to buy, not to shop. And why are they walking in to buy? Because they've already prepped for their shopping on that cute little computer they have in their hand. And so if you're not visible to them in that cute little computer they have in their hand, when they're in one of those moments of inspiration, you're probably not going to have them walking in your front door. You know, here's some reasons for all retailers to use mobile PLAs for the holiday season. Now this is data from Google. It was published a little more than a year ago, so this is dated a little bit, but still the numbers are significant. Almost two-thirds of people began their shopping activity on their mobile device. Almost half of them have made a purchase, and now we just did our poll. 7 out of 10 of you have made a purchase on your mobile device. 81% shop spontaneously on their mobile devices. So if you took our pre-webinar quiz, you'll recognize that stat because that was in there. And then 41% of them shop outside of their home on their mobile device. And now I've got a couple numbers for you from our own research. Right? So 37% of paid AdWords search traffic is PLA driven. And as I mentioned before, we expect that to grow to more than 50% in the holidays. And the 26% is the number of conversion paths where a shopping campaign was the last touch. Right? So, for example, we just published a white paper on mastering attribution, and that's where that stat comes from. 26, so 1 out of 4 is PLA driven at the end of the funnel. So here are our tips for you. Consider turning on your mobile PLAs during the holidays. You can bid conservatively at first. Our data shows that last holiday season, PLAs were half the expense of desktop. So mobile PLA CPCs were half the cost of desktop. And more recently, we've still seen that mobile PLA CPCs are running around 12% cheaper. So you can bid conservatively at first. And then use AdWords estimated total conversion to look at the cross-device conversion. Because we know that two-thirds of the people begin their shopping on their mobile device, and a lot of them are finishing that shopping on a desktop. So use the cross-device conversion to assess the value of your mobile PLA spend. Our second mistake, not having a holiday-specific campaign with merchant promotion fees. I call this a missed competitive advantage because this tactic is a underutilized, overperforming tactic or strategy, right? And that is information from a Google shopping product manager that I met at the event 2 weeks ago. right? Underutilized, overperforming. So that spells competitive advantage to me. So first, what do I mean by holiday specific? If you have a seasonal business, take a look at your product sales during the holidays and compare that to your product sales the rest of the year, and compare that to the way your regular PLA campaigns are set up. You probably don't have a structure set up to take advantage of the changes in that product mix during the holidays, and that's what I'm talking about. Setting up your holiday campaign to leverage those 80-20, the Pareto principle, 80-20 SKUs for your specific holiday season, right? And what do I mean by a merchant promotion feed? Some of you may be familiar with that, some of you may not. So here's an example, and if you were on our webinar, I think this was in March, I used the same example, right? So this is a shopping for a Glow Minerals Press-based product, and you can see the special offer in the little price tag icon. That means there's a merchant promotion message, and I've exposed the Glow Professional free shipping over $65. And you can see out of 5, only 2 have that, right? So where do you think users are going to be inclined to click when they see the word special offer, right? So it's really a no-brainer. And just to give you an idea of what kind of impact that can have, here's a study of some of our clients who added merchant promotions specifically during the holiday season. And what I'm showing you here is the PLA results on the right and all of the other search campaigns on the left. Okay? So the first thing you should notice is that for all the other search campaigns during the holiday period, a time of increased competition, you can see that click-through rate and return on ad spend dropped. But as most retailers see, they got a lift in conversion on those campaigns. But take a look at the PLAs. PLAs with the merchant promotion feed message had an 8% growth in click-through rate, a 39% growth in return on ad spend, and significantly higher increase in conversion rate. Right? So again, I said this is a no-brainer. Right? You should have merchant promo feeds on all of your PLA campaigns, not just during the holidays. And here are our tips. So add that separate campaign aimed at your top historical holiday sellers and set the priority to high. For those of you who may not be familiar with the idea of priority, in Google Shopping campaigns, you can set your campaigns to a high, medium, or low priority, and priority trumps bids. So what I mean by that is if you set a campaign to high, and it might have the same products in it that another shopping campaign has, that's set to low or medium, even though the low or medium might have higher bid amounts, the high priority campaign takes precedent. Those ads take precedent. So what you do is you set your seasonal one to high and you set your regular ones to low so that the seasonal one takes precedent. Second thing, use a merchant promo feed even if you don't have a promo. Every one of you has a unique selling proposition or a value proposition associated with your company. You can message that in a merchant promotion feed, and all you have to do is alter the message and the time period and constantly update it. But it's a no-brainer to have that, and you can see from our example, not every competitor uses that. All right, our next poll. What's wrong with this campaign? And I'll run through the options before we bring up the poll question. Is there nothing wrong? Is there no competition for the items in the electronics group? Does the product group setup have flaws? Are there bids for the items in the electronics group too low? Or is everything wrong? All right, so I'm going to bring up the and we'll give you a little bit of time to figure this out. We'll give you about 30 seconds. Audio. Okay, about half of you have figured it out. I'll give you more time. I don't know that. All right, 6 out of 10 of you have voted. A little more. All right. Okay, I think we're going to close it. All right, so most of you think everything is wrong. Nobody thought nothing was wrong because I didn't think it was a trick question. Okay, so let's see what the right answer is. Where's my space bar? Good. All right, so the problem with this is that the product group definitions are flawed. When you don't see any competitive intelligence in the benchmarked CTR or CPC, what that's telling you is that there's not enough search volume to have statistically relevant data. Right? So in this case, by having item level stuff in a product group, it's too granular. So in this case, they would have been better having, under their all products, maybe just lumping their products into product groups such as, I'll say laptops, tablets, or whatever, so that by category you could have some competitive intelligence, right? So, and that leads us into our third mistake, which is not structuring your campaigns with your budget and bidding strategies in mind. And this is an image of a typical situation for us that we encounter with our, what's that? Can't hear? Muted. Am I muted? Right? It's green. Kelly, did you mute it? What? Oh, hold on. Can I hit a chat to everybody? What? Oh, we can? We were having some technical difficulties. Can everyone hear me? Can you just start letting me know in the chat window and I'll keep going? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Sorry. Okay, so this is a visual of a typical situation we encounter when we assume management for someone's PLA campaign. Oftentimes they'll have one campaign with no segmentation, everything just thrown into one campaign. And a typical strategy that we'll deploy is we'll set up a PLA for each line of business for that client. And line of business can mean just about anything, right? And then we'll apply what Google calls a hybrid segmentation for our bidding based on category, brand, and performance. And what I mean by performance is, top selling, high margin, those kind of characteristics, right? And I'll show you some of the results that we've seen for some of our clients where we've done this. The before column is their performance before we took over management, and the after column is the results afterwards. Right? So you can see, for example, we have increased conversion rate, we have cut their CPC, increased the return on ad spend, and cut their cost per acquisition. Right? And here on the right here are the changes. So you can see, for example, the return on ad spend was almost 50% greater with our more intelligent approach to the campaign structure. And one thing I wanted to point out, I mentioned that we cut their CPC by 3 cents a click. These clients that I pulled this data from are in industries where there is CPC inflation going on at a rate of 18 to 24% year over year on all devices. And with this hybrid segmentation, intelligent approach to structuring your campaigns, we're actually able to cut their cost per click. So take your Pareto principle and apply it to your campaign structure. Look at that 80-20 rule, whether it's by product category, by brand, or by SKU, and setting up your segmentation for your PLA campaigns. The fourth mistake is a relatively new one that we've been encountering, which are policy shifts by Google. And this is an actual dashboard view of one of our clients' Merchant Center dashboard. And you can see here in mid-July, over a couple-day period, the number of disproved products jumped by almost 50%. So how can you mitigate that or stay on top of that? First, jump into your Merchant Center account early report on a regular basis just to make sure that there are no sudden changes. Enable all of the Merchant Center data processing notifications that you can so that you'll get the errors reports via email. And third, add a Google Analytics alert for sudden drops in your PLA traffic. It's actually a good idea to add Google Analytics alerts for a lot of different conditions, but in this case, a sudden drop in PLA traffic might alert you to the fact that you have some sort of approval issue going on. All right, last but not least, the last mistake, not optimizing your data feed. You've heard us beat this drum before. So, a quick poll. What's the most important attribute to optimize in your Google product feed? Go ahead and start voting. All right, we're going to close it because most of you have voted. Aha, very good. You all think like I did. Right? Most of you picked title. And description was second, UPIs were third, product attributes were fourth. I think you're going to find this next thing very surprising. The most important thing for you to optimize in your Google data feeds are your unique product identifiers. For those of you who don't know what those are, it's the global trade identification number, which is probably more commonly known here in the States as your UPC codes, your ISBN numbers, the manufacturer's part number, and the brand. Right? Now, I have always suspected that the GTIN was the key component to a Google feed, because if you think about it, how does Google match like title descriptions from 28 retailers on the same product? Right? They've got to use something unique to match on, right? And so GTIN is one area where I think you should be focused. And a recent product announcement by Google called the New Manufacturer Center makes that even more critical, because now manufacturers have basically their own version of a merchant center to load product data. And what I'm showing you here is there's an analytics dashboard that they get with that. And you'll see how Google is pulling product attribute data to display that on a mobile device when someone was searching for a specific type of product, right? But strategically, as a retailer, what's important to consider is now it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to differentiate your product content, right, from your manufacturer. And it's also going to be very critical for you to have the same sort of data, GTIN data, as your manufacturer, because Google's going to start using that as a signal for approval, right? So even more critical to focus on your unique product identifiers. The second one is title. Third is description. Fourth is images, right? So here's some tips for your unique product identifiers. Make sure, at least for your top selling SKUs, you get all those UPIs in there accurately. Make sure you have SKU level GTINs or NPNs, not manufacturer level. Don't put any product name or store name in the brand field, just the brand name. And if you're a retailer, start submitting accurate information from your suppliers. There's also external tools you can use like endata.com, which is a great source for UPC code verification. And if you're a manufacturer, do right by your channel and start giving them accurate information for their merchant feeds. You can also consider joining a data network that syndicates SKU level information like the one I mentioned here from GS1. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about optimizing your titles for clicks and queries. Now most of you thought titles was the thing to optimize first. And Lauren's going to talk to you a little bit about what to include in your titles. Here's a real screenshot of a query I did for New Balance running shoes. You can see it's a 2x4 matrix. There are 8 products. I've listed over here on the left the visible name that you can see and the length in characters. You can see that you get from 22 to 25 characters in the PLA grid to create a call to action to click. You'll also notice in a lot of these model number references, right? So I decided to do another search using a model number, and you'll see that I only got 5 results versus the 8, which said to me that, ooh, probably less people put model numbers in there than, and sure enough, Google Trends bears that out, right? So from a title perspective and from a creating a call to action perspective, you're better off focusing on the running shoes versus, let's say, the sneaker model. And so here is an example of an improved version that's optimized to generate clicks. So you can see this first version I took from the Merchant Center of a well-known shoe retailer. And just so you know, that New Balance W blah, 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 women's running shoes, that's a little more than 40 characters. They're leaving 100 characters on the table they can use for generating clicks and query matching. And here's my new improved version, which I put together based on reading the product detail page for that item. And the thing that I honed in on was the mesh, because mesh implies that the shoe is lightweight, and I figured based on what I was reading that the lightness is probably a selling feature for the product. And so you can see in the first 25 characters I have the word mesh. And then for the 70 characters for the Google shopping interface, I get the size, I get the cushion arch support, which was another selling feature, and I get this brand name for the shock absorbing, right? So, real quick, things we've learned in our practice: use converting keywords, not just high traffic keywords. Optimize the first 25 to 70 characters for clicks. Optimize the hidden last 80 characters for query matching. All right. And here's an example of why doing this SEO for PLA just makes sense. This is our Grow Professional shot that I showed you before. And this is the performance after we optimized the title and description. Didn't change anything else in the campaign. I've indexed the numbers to protect the innocent. But you can see just by optimizing title and description, we almost doubled impressions, we more than doubled clicks, and we increased the click-through rate by more than 10%. And Google has a client that they told us about that just by adding the brand and the product type keyword to their title increased sales 266%. So just to summarize real quickly, takeaways from the mistakes: use a seasonal specific campaign, use merchant promos, consider running PLAs on mobile devices to grab your share of that page, structure your campaigns with an eye to budgeting and bidding, stay on top of the policy shifts, and optimize your feeds and start with your UPIs. Anyone who submitted a question, I'll respond to those questions via email. And thank you all for attending.